Be for yourself. Good evening, welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Bracken. I'm here with Ash, and I'm here with Kev. Sorry we're late. You know what Kev's like. He's a diva. You know, he's not been on for a week, so he's thinking, that's it. I'm going to make it known, you know. Or as Mitch said, maybe Kev thinks he's Arteta, and he's just trying his time-wasting tactics. We'll just never know. Welcome back, Kev. Finally got some power, have you?
Yeah, 2 days with no power, no broadband, no internet. Did I miss much?
To be honest, mate, after Sunday, I wish I had no power, no broadband.
I genuinely think we were touched by an angel this weekend.
Yeah, I'd say I'll tell you, no, some parts of the country have been hit really bad. We've been one of the worst hits. There's still a lot of people in our area of North Cork that still don't have power and haven't had since Sunday morning, early hours of Sunday morning. Yeah. And there's no prospect of them getting anything until maybe tomorrow evening at some point. And between that and supermarkets not getting deliveries and roads now, I mean, out there tonight now, it's something like about -4, and there's no prospect of it getting above 0 for the next 2 days. There's still about a foot of snow outside my house. You know what I mean? So it's not nice down there. You know, genuinely, it is horrible. There's a lot of people going through some really rough times at the minute down there.
That area.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're in North America and stuff like that, you're not acclimatized to it, but you've got the infrastructure to deal with this kind of weather events.
Yeah. England's the same. England can't deal with a bit of snow.
Yeah, you know, I mean, out here we have like generators and things like that. Like we have power for like a week at a time. It's pretty regular.
Get a generator, Kev.
Next week, I tell you, when all this, my Amazon order is going in next Monday, I guarantee you, is definitely going to be a few bits and bobs ordered for the next event. Because as soon as night follows day, it's going to come. So,
yeah. Anyway, I read the post-match comments, and people knew you were a dog. Said, "I've never seen Ashley swear so much." Thinking, "They don't know the real Ashley, do they?" My word! And I got that I'd done a major overreaction, which so okay.
I mean, you sent me a message after. You were like, "I think we were actually pretty level-headed." I'm like, "Well, speak for yourself."
I think that was a big hint of sarcasm. I think we held that quite well. Yeah, it was so frustrating. I think
Madge, you're absolutely spot on. A wind-up radio to hand. I've seen one today. A wind-up radio that you can plug your phone in. Yeah, that'll do me sorted. That's exactly where I'm going to be going shopping on Monday.
Anyway, Kev, get a power bank. That's also a good investment.
That's fine. That's like after the Lord Mayor's show kind of stuff.
Oh, who doesn't have a power bank these days? Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about football. So, League Cup Semi Final. We're getting used to these, aren't we? Is it a record? We're on for a record now for how many semi-finals we're getting in. We're doing quite well in this competition. It's always good fun. If you haven't seen, the other leg finished Arsenal 0, Newcastle 2. Really nice goals from Isaac, who was excellent, and Gordon. Actually, before we go into our game, that's probably good. That's probably perfect for us, that, because it means Arsenal are going to have to go strong in that second leg, because you got to win by 3 at Newcastle, which is going to be tricky.
Yep, and they've got City, I think, 3 days before that game, so that's not a good week. I thought Newcastle played that perfectly. Whether or not you think they were lucky on a couple of the goals. Like, Isaac is the informed striker at this point in time. I think he's scored more goals than Mo Salah and Palmer since December started. So, in general, he's on fire. I think all of us would really love him in any of our, in any team, really. So I think they're lucky to have him. And I think it's great. It means that they can't rotate, they can't rest, they have to play. And I think Arteta really needs that trophy. I don't think that's something that they can just skive off and say, nope, it's the League Cup. I think this might be one of their best chances to win silverware.
And Kev, they can't also use yes, they have players that are injured, but Newcastle did that with no Shah, who's suspended, the best midfielder, which is Guimaraes, and they had no backup striker at all because Callum Wilson's still permanently injured. So they, the backup strikers are wingers. So, both sides had key players missing. And they didn't have Nick Pope in goal either.
Yeah, look, I mean, I disagree with Ashley. I think there's a lot of football to be played between now and then. I think they'll bin it off personally. If they're within striking distance of us, if they're within a couple of games of us by the time this one comes around, they won't gamble any way, shape, or form when it comes to that City fixture. If anyone is touch and go, they're not going to be going to Newcastle playing, and rightly so, because if it was the shoe in the other foot, and we were chasing down a side and we had to go to a big game on the Sunday, you wouldn't want anybody risked if you're 2-0 down already in the leg. I not in this competition anyway. I think Newcastle will fancy scoring one at home. Then you got to go and score 4 to stop it going into extra time. And the last thing you're going to want is extra time in a fixture 3 days before you face a Man City side who are starting to find a bit of form again. They're starting to find a way of playing and picking up wins. So, but again, it's a month. A lot can change in a month.
It's mad that it's such a big gap. I understand why, because of the European thing, but it's just a mental gap between semi-finals.
The argument has always been out there that this 2-legged semi-final format has to go. I think it is. It needs to go, and it should have gone this season. They needed to rip the plaster off with the League Cup, with the introduction of the new format.
Makes it more of an event if it's one leg as well.
It does. I mean, I watched tonight. Look, and for 70 minutes it was a good game, and then Newcastle decided to go full Stoke and put 2 banks of 5, and decided we're not playing football anymore. No, we're training now, and you have to come and break us down.
Stoke v Stoke for the last 20 minutes.
It became a non-event after that. And look, I don't blame Newcastle one bit. I think that this is a massive trophy that Eddie Howe is one of 2 managers I think really, really need this. I think Arteta can always go back and say, yeah, I won an FA Cup and I've been competitive in the league and we've got
Charity Shields.
Yeah,
them.
He's got him back into Champions League football on a regular basis, which when the finances are reported out in the next week to 10 days, I think it's going to be huge. Being in the Champions League on a regular basis, I don't give a shit what anyone says, is massive. You need that if you're going to continue to grow.
I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see what Liverpool's figures when they come out. I don't think they're going to be fantastic. Which having 1 year out of it, but
exactly. So I mean, I just think I look at Newcastle, look at the owners, look at the amount of money they've already pumped in. Eddie Howe should be feeling the heat a little bit to produce something. So I think that he really needs to win this competition. Bear in mind, you're 2-0 up now, and you're away from home. You've won away from home 2-0, playing ugly. 30% of the ball. They had more shots on target. They did the ugly bit. Now they're getting Arsenal, and I think Arsenal's eyes will likely be off of this by the time it comes around. They've still got Europe to play for. They've still got a Premier League that they're going to be. Odds are they're going to be in contention up until the last probably 5-6 games at least. They're still going to be pushing hard on that. I just don't think they have and I think tonight showed it, the difference between the 2 sides. They don't have the depth to go on 4 fronts, because the FA Cup starts at the weekend as well. They don't have the squad to go on 4 fronts. And I don't think anybody does, in truth. I don't think anyone has a squad big enough to go
Chelsea
on 4 fronts.
Chelsea have a squad big enough.
Yeah.
But they're not going to use it. So
I think
they've definitely got a squad big enough.
I think the way the fixtures fall might actually change how he approaches it, because Man City comes first, and then it's Newcastle 3 days later. So I think if they come out of Man City, with players intact and whatnot, then I think they go strong. I think that if there's anyone that's at risk, then you kind of.
I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah,
I thought it was League Cup, then City.
And then they have Leicester after that, so they can rest players for Leicester. So it'll still be a hard week, but I think they'll still probably go for it, would be my guess, but I don't know.
I know if it's the Man City, then Newcastle.
It's the league game first, so Man City first.
Yeah, you'd say they might throw the kitchen sink at it, probably for an hour. Because again, it goes back to the situation. If you're 2-0 up in the first leg, 1 more goal, they have to score 4 to avoid extra time. at this time of year, that time of year especially, in a month's time, nobody's going to want to be playing 120 minutes if they don't have to, So, yeah, it's one of them. I think every manager can make an argument that, you want to win this one. But I think there's two managers that really, really need this one.
Speaking of managers who really, really need it, Ashley, let's talk about us and Spurs, because to be fair, we've been on now for 10 minutes. We haven't actually talked about Liverpool yet.
We should probably get to
we might get told.
It's changed, isn't it?
Yeah, Gav will tell me off again. So, Arne Slot did his press conference this morning. Yep. He said Dominic Szoboszlai hadn't trained yesterday because he was still ill. Said he hadn't seen him today, but he was hoping to see him today, which at 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm kind of hoping he would. So I think he kind of said if he trains today, he'll be in the squad, but he isn't starting.
Yeah.
He's pretty much said Canati won't start. He said he was fit. He got his first game back, but he can't back to ask him to go again after 3 days, after 6 weeks out. No. So that kind of tells you Kwanzaa's playing, which is fair enough. That makes sense. Yep. And then the question that came out was, the assumption was, he said, because it's the cup, you've got Queeve Keller, the cup specialist, so he'll be playing in that. He wasn't very committal on that. He was like,
it wasn't
we have two very good keepers. I know what's hard I'm going to pick. I'm going to see how training goes today. Whereas normally, Slot's pretty straight down the line with the keeper thing. He's like, it's a cup game, so it's Queeve. But this is the one time he wasn't. So I wonder if he thinks Alisson just looks a little bit rusty, and he thinks like he actually could do with another game to get him up to speed for the rest of the month. And Queeve's going to he'll definitely get the FA Cup, and he'd probably get one of the Champions League games, I would have thought.
I think it's really possible. I think we also don't really know how Slot handles these cup competitions as we progress and get a little bit closer to the final. I mean, Klopp was very loyal to Kelleher, but I don't know if Slot says, it's a semifinal, we're going to put our top keeper in. That's also a possibility. But I do agree with you. I think Alisson does seem to be a little bit rusty. I mean, I would love to see a return of these clean sheets. I don't know if tomorrow's the game for it. I think tomorrow's going to be a little bit helter-skelter, but I do think that it would be nice to get those clean sheets back in.
Yeah, there is that. But in terms of the importance of the cup, so I'll stick with you, Ashley, then we'll come over to Kev, because he loves talking about Ange. Yeah. I think it's my perspective. Is it an important question for both managers in different ways? Ange, because I think Spurs need some sort of trophy now. Good news. I was watching a bit of the overlap, and I can't remember the name of the lady who's on it now. Is it Neve? She's a Bolton fan, but she's really good at it. She's really good at it. And she made the point of there isn't much patience with the Spurs fans with Ange at the moment. And she goes, but is that because one of the factors is Spurs is one of the most expensive games to go to? And a fan's been a little bit like, well, if I'm paying through the nose for this and I'm paying the most expensive seats, I want to see the winning football and trophy winning football, because it's kind of the point. So if I'm just coming in and watching getting tongued, that's not good. Now, Ange will argue, and he does have a point, is they have got quite a lot missing. But I think he needs it for it, to take a bit of the heat off. But I think Slot could do with it, because we saw with Mourinho, we saw with Pep, that's the first trophy they won. It was nice to get the monkey off the back early, and then you carry on, because it's this will be done by first weekend in March. Yeah,
I think in terms of us, I think it's it's a new manager. I think it's one of those start as you want to continue things where if you want to stamp your authority and show that you can win trophies, it is nice to get that off your back. We've seen in the example of Tottenham what it's like to have that hanging over your shoulders as this kind of thing that you need to achieve. I would prefer that, obviously I'd prefer that we win a trophy, but I would prefer that Slot kind of gets that off of his shoulders. With Spurs, I do think a lot of this does ultimately come down to the fact that they have a ton of injuries, but I also don't think you can step away from the fact that Ange is he's so self-confident in his belief and his system that it's to his detriment. And I don't actually think there's an argument to that. I don't think that anyone can come up with an argument that, his absolute bullheadedness is working for them. I think that we've seen in the past when there's injuries and there's issues in the club that you can tailor your system to protect your defense, and he is not doing that. So I don't really have sympathy for him there, but I do think that he needs silverware. I think that, silver lining for them, they got Son extended today, which I missed this morning. I missed that news. It wasn't really broadcast the way that I'd expect it to be, but he's going to be here until 2026. So there's a little bit to be excited about, but I don't know. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'm just antsy, and I'm just kind of tired of this yo-yo action.
Well, Kev, they've just signed a new keeper, haven't they? I don't know if he's been signed.
Yeah,
in
he's
time.
clearly
he's in time.
So we might have a keeper making his debut against us.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the young kid Austin actually did all right against Newcastle. To be fair, he could do nothing about the goals. I actually thought he did okay.
Yeah, I don't. How young is he? I don't think he's that young. He's been at the club for years.
He's 21.
No,
the other one, the new keeper's 21. I don't know how.
All right, yeah, Kinski is his name. They got him from Sparta Prague, I think, or Slavia Prague. He's 12.5 million euro. I think they've paid for him. Healthy fee.
25. Oh, do you know Brandon is old? 25 for a keeper is actually not that old.
No, but he's just. I think he's been
there a while, hasn't he?
He's been at Spurs pretty much all his life.
He looked about 19.
Yeah, and I thought he did all right the weekend.
Yeah, I thought he did.
He looked good.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's an absolutionist in the way he plays. He believes 100% in his philosophy, and that's just the beyond and all, and he won't change. And he's backed himself into that corner now so many times where so many journalists have given him the get out of jail free card of adapting your style to suit your opponents, to tailor the way you play to accommodate other side's strengths, and he just refuses. Point blank, this is the way we play, like it or lump it, get on board. And you know what? That's fine. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But if you're going to have that attitude, you have to produce.
It puts pressure. I do admit, though, Kev, I do think some of his players are getting away with murder because I think actually the manager's carrying the can with how he plays. Because some of the things that are going on with Spurs, I don't believe a manager's telling them, don't follow your man or run 50 yards. Like Jed Spence did against Liverpool, where he at 2-1, even ran herring up to press a ball down that was never there to press down. And I don't believe a manager says to him, 2-1 down with minutes go and press and leave 50 yards behind you. I think because everyone thinks he plays his open style, I think that's sometimes covering players making.
No, I think the way I look at that is I don't think the manager is discouraging it. I don't think the manager is looking at that action. Because I remember we did the post-match show and I couldn't believe what I was watching. And it was, I bet you he would do that again. Because I don't think he's been pulled up on it. And it's telling right the way through the squad that they'll go man for man. And this type of defending has a toll on players as well. The physicality that's needed to play this type of football is unbelievable. And I think it explains a large part of their injury problems. Most of their injuries are muscle related. And I think it's purely down to the type of football he's got on playing. But look, I think they'll be hurting from that 6-3 because that was embarrassing. Yeah, they scored 3 goals, but at the end of the day, it was 5-1 and we took our foot way off the gas. And I honestly think that they will be embarrassed by that. And the lineup that he finished his last game with was probably the last game of football that I watched. I seen the lineup when he put it out, and then I saw the bench. I thought, you're writing off your league position here. Everything is on the League Cup. And the side he finished that game with, the Newcastle game, I think is more or less going to be the side that he puts out against us tomorrow night.
The only thing I found odd was he benched Maddison and then brought him on for the last 25.
Well,
but Maddison's suspended. So
but he benched. He had Son on the bench.
I think there was illness going around as well.
Yeah, but if you can get you're in the league. It's a league game.
Yeah. The one I found more mad was having Maddison on the bench. You go, well, he can't play midweek, so you may as well start him.
Yeah, you might as well.
And it's not like it's Maddison. It's not like he's a bad player.
No, I know. I can't. Yeah. I give up trying to rationalize this guy a long time ago. I just think he's just
Speaking of all rational decisions, we have a new member. There you go. Look at that for a segue.
Congratulations.
Look at that.
Hey, mate.
Good. So if you want to be a member, it's $3.99 a month, and all you have to do is once you joined, email talkinkop1@gmail.com, and Gav will put you in the Telegram groups and put you in the members Telegram group, which is always great fun. And then you will get access to the member shows.
Crazy here.
Oh, mate, you should see the Telegram. It's even worse. You should see the language out of Ashley. You think it's bad on this channel, honestly.
Yes.
Oh, and Richard has very kindly sent us £5. You'll never walk alone. Thank you very much. So that'll go towards our 2 charity partners.
Yeah.
So that is the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, which is help feeding the homeless, and fan supporting food banks in Liverpool. The aim is to get to €12,000. So links in the description below. If you can give, please give. If you can't, share it on your social media, around your WhatsApp groups. Let's try and get as much money as we can together. As Kev, I know we're taking the mick out of Kev because he had no power, but imagine that being permanent life.
Yeah.
You've got to decide food or have power, or
Mate,
you can't afford both. It'd be horrible.
We were dry, we were warm, we had an open fire, so we were warm, we were dry, we had a bed to sleep in, we had food in the fridge, and I was complaining like a mad yoke that I couldn't watch a game of football. You know what I mean? Priorities,
Your poor partner.
She wanted to find me a charged phone just to get me out of the way. I swear to God.
That was nothing to do with the power cuts, just in general.
Yeah, well, there is.
There is that. So let's talk about lineups then. So let's talk about Spurs then. So what do we think the likely Spurs level will be? We think the new keeper will start.
Yeah. So his name is Kinski, I think. I don't know if that's pronunciation. We're gonna go with Kinski.
Okay. So right back, I should be Porro.
Porro, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I think it'd be Porro, Gray, and Spence.
Yeah.
And Spence. Yeah, because Doggy's out for 6 weeks.
Yes,
I think so. Bentancur will come back in because he didn't play in the league game because he was suspended, but he'll play in that. Kulusevski I would expect to play, and I would expect
Basuma plays.
Basuma plays as well.
Yeah, Star is suspended. So
you think as a midfield,
it's good.
It's
that's
strong.
That's good midfield, and we all know Kulusevski's a nightmare. He's an absolute nightmare. And
he's their best player, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and look, we even saw when we beat them, the goals he can score and the creation he can do. So, and then the front three, we think will be Son, Solanke, Johnson.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Johnson.
And I think the likes on the bench will be. I think Werner will be on the bench. I think Richarlison said he's touch and go. He might make if he's not this week. He might make the weekend. So I suppose that depends how close he is. But I would probably say the 11 that starts is pretty much all they've got because I don't think they have much more rotations options than that.
I'll tell you, if you look at that front three and the 3 midfielders behind them,
that's dangerous.
And the whiff that you can get, the attacking whiff that you can get from the fullbacks in Jed Spence and Pedro Porro. I watched Newcastle. I think it was Spurs might have scored from it. I don't know if they did or not, but Porro put in this cross.
Oh, for Solanke header.
My God, what a ball!
Oh,
he's got that. He's got that ability about him that he can put crosses in. They've got. I think that's probably stronger than the game they played us in the league.
Yes, I think so.
But I think that midfield 3 and that front 3 can give anyone problems. They can score. There's goals.
That's never been the problem, though.
Yeah.
That's not the problem there.
There's goals in that side.
It's off the ball, isn't it? And the 6-3 probably does us a favour in the sense that the lads will know. Listen, lads, we were 5-1 up. We switched off, and they smacked in. They got it to 5-3, and we all went, "Oh fucking hell! Oh no! Is it going to be one of those games?" So it might do as good. And to be honest, if we play like we did on Sunday, Kev, thank God you didn't watch it. But if we play like that on Sunday, that on the break, that Spurs side will destroy us.
Yeah,
with pace out wide.
They'll probably go after that right side.
Whoever plays.
We'll
come to.
We'll talk about it, but it's
there. They've got to look. This is the frustrate. If I was a Spurs fan, this is what would. If you're paying that much money to go and watch them as well, it would drive me nuts seeing that 11. The centre back pairing aside, all right, and you don't know anything about the keeper. All right, but the rest of them, there's talent in that side. Do you know what I mean? They really should be better in the league than where they are. And that is purely and simply down to the guy who's making him go and play the way he's playing. And I can understand where their frustration is coming from.
I don't want them to change, though. I think
they won't.
Their tactics suit us
And
down to the ground.
I think Slot was doing his picking up how they play.
Again today, he's like, he sticks to his convictions. Absolutely.
Yeah, please stick to him again for the next 6 weeks, please.
Yes, please. So let's go for the Liverpool side then. So goalkeeper, I think we could just debate. I think nearly every position's got a bit, bar probably a couple got a debate over him. Goalkeeper, does he? If this was Klopp, I'd have said he'll go with Kelleher because he goes with Kelleher. Because Slot was non-committal on who the goalkeeper was, I get the feeling Alisson might get a start.
Yeah,
because normally he's pretty straight down the middle. So I think Alisson.
I'd be surprised if Alisson doesn't start. Bearing in mind the cups, there's a long gap between the Manchester United game and the Forest game for Alisson to be inactive completely.
Yeah, I think Kelleher gets the FA Cup. 100%.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd have Alisson in starting anyway.
Centre back, I think, is Van Dijk and Kwanzaa because they're the only two fit centre backs we've got.
I don't think you risk Konate.
I don't think you risk Konate.
I think he'd be on the bench though.
I think he will be on the bench. Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah, I think he
travels. Simicast for left back. Do we think?
I think fullbacks you can go either way. I think that Robertson looks best when he plays one game a week, and I think that now that we have Simicast in the team, we might as well start doing that.
Yeah,
I'd nearly give Costas the next 2 games and give.
I think he'll get the cup. I think
so.
Yeah.
I think the call is right back. I think this is
right back
the call that everyone focuses on.
What we don't know is how fit is Bradley, because my gut feeling, Kev, will add your opinions because me and Ashley had a very similar point of view as if Bradley was fitter coming back from injury, I think he would have seen Trent come off at half time because he just had one of those. He was having that. It was that the game. Nothing was going for him.
Yeah.
The fact Bradley only came off for the last 5 minutes makes me think he was told by the medical people, you give him 15 max. You can't risk him for any more than that. Yeah. So has he got an hour in him? Or do we go down what Klopp used to do? And Klopp was very good at this sometimes. Is we remember Lovren having a mare against Spurs. He threw him in the next game and he played quite well. He's always like, get out your system now, get rid of it. Otherwise, because I don't think Trent's going to play against Accrington Stanley. So again, you then say, does a week off do him any good? It might do. Week off might clear his head.
I would have started Trent anyway. Purely and simply, he's your vice captain. He's experienced enough. And yeah, I listened to what Slot said today in his press conference, and he's right in what he said. He has a couple of these games a season, 2 or 3 a season, where he throws in an absolute stinker, where nothing works. His passing range is way off. And that gets into his head when it comes to defending. And it's just a complete, total clusterfuck of an appearance. And usually he's strong enough of character to be able to dust that off straight away. Irrespective of Conor Bradley's fitness, I would have started Trent anyway. Because as I think this is where the bonus, and I'm not dismissing a game against Accrington completely, but it's a home tie in the 3rd round of the FA Cup against the side way down the leagues. I expect heavy rotation at the weekend. But if you have ambition, this is where the lineup is really important tomorrow night to see what Slot's ambition is to go and win this cup. I think if you want to go and win this, you have to go as strong as possible while keeping the squad fresh without taking undue risk to the quality of performance, if you know what I mean.
But also,
there's plenty of space at the weekend to make changes if you want to make changes and I think it's good to have a rhythm, to get back into a habit of winning games, playing, rest, little bit of recovery, play again, and get back into that routine. I think the week off did us no favors.
No, I think the rest too, which in the long run, I think having days off mid-season, that's a Slot thing. That was not a Klopp thing. That's his way of managing the squad.
Yeah. But I think the calendar didn't help.
it didn't help, and I think looking back on it, we looked like we came back from an international break.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, that's how it looked. We looked like we had no rhythm, and I think I agree with Kev here. I think that you can win in both ways. I think, I said this in the Telegram earlier. I haven't changed my mind. I think Slot starts Trent. I think he gives him 60 minutes to get this out of his system. I think, if he has a stinker, maybe that comes to 45 minutes. I don't know, but I think you bring Bradley on with the idea of getting him fit to play that Accrington Stanley game.
To play an hour
To play to play the 90 minutes or however much you need to get out of him for Accrington Stanley. I think you win on the side of getting Trent some time to clear that up and get it out of his head, and also I don't think the spotlight needs to be put on him any more than it already is, and I think that you risk that putting Bradley in from the start. The whole dropping Trent after this performance. We don't need that.
Also,
so I think you let him start.
If we change him, then it's Bradley in, Kwanzaa in, Tsimikas in. That's 3 of your back 4 changes. That's quite a lot of changes to do to a back 4.
Another argument for Allison starting.
And we haven't been keeping clean sheets, so you probably want some sort of continuity because it is a semi-final. Okay, midfield. I'll give a midfield 3, and then we'll debate how wrong I am, which is probably a lot. I think he goes as strong as possible. So I think McAllister plays, I think Gravenberch plays, and I think Jones plays because Szoboszlai is only going to make the bench. I think he does the same midfield 3.
I don't think you're wrong at all.
Gravenberch, McAllister, and
Jones.
Yeah, it's no brainer.
And again, Jones
I think he brings
Jones is the same
on at some point to get him some minutes. Again,
yeah, I think so.
Another one. I think Endo gets brought on for some minutes. Hopefully, and both of those start for Accrington.
Endo and Elliott start Accrington Stanley
with maybe Morton
with Tyler Morton.
With Tyler Morton. That's what you could do it. You could do an Accrington Stanley. When you look at it, it's still not going to be a particularly weak team. It's not like probably Klopp for a couple of years ago where you're going like it's the 18, it's the under 18s, and you're googling going, which one's that one again? Is that Beck? No, that's not Beck. That's a different one. We were like that at one point. Okay.
Yeah, I go very strong as in midfield.
I think you'll see like Neoni and like Nallo on the bench. I mean, Nallo might play center back. I have no idea for Accrington Stanley, but I think that's where you'll see them incorporate.
I've watched a lot of lower league football over the years, right? And people go into this one. Accrington's players will have been targeting this game and eyeing this game up since the draw. This is going to be the biggest game of their life for a lot of these players. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. If people think that you can throw any 11 out there and that 1, they'll gel, and 2, they'll just turn over a side because they're in the 2nd division or 3rd division or 4th division. Football doesn't work. Football is a very big habit of kicking you where the sun doesn't shine if you try to take the piss out of it.
And in the FA Cup 3rd round, we've had a few of them.
Exactly. The last thing we need is a replay. But again, I think the side that will play at the weekend will have experience in it, so we should be okay. But at the same time, this one tomorrow night, I think the whole game. The whole game for this week, for this tomorrow night, is midfield. The battle in midfield, the battle of the threes in midfield. Who wins and loses in that one?
I think it'll be interesting to see, can Jones do the Szoboszlai role? Because Szoboszlai was pretty much the standout character in that Spurs game. And if he's ill, he's not going to be there. So can we see Jones bring that energy?
Szoboszlai was also the standout player of the United game, as in that's probably what we missed.
Yeah. Which is actually interesting because
he gets a lot of stick.
If you go back, he gets so much stick. And I think that role in the team gets so much stick. I think that it either works or you stand out. I don't think there's a middle ground. And I do think it'll be interesting to see if Jones can kind of just pick himself up the same way that I hope that Trent can after this weekend and just put it aside, start fresh, and do a good job.
And Matt Apple's right. Curtis does have something to prove because Curtis also had a pretty poor, had a very poor game against United.
I think both of them did, and I think they contributed to one another because they were both, I
that right side in general just wasn't
I think
working.
Trent got no help there. And I do think Trent was poor. I hung him out to dry. I agree with what I said, but I think that as a pair, they both need to improve.
Yeah. Front three then. Mo Salah.
Yep.
Gakpo.
I think so.
Jota. I thought Diaz was quite non-existent in that number 9 role. But I also feel like we've got to get more minutes into Jota because every time he's come on, he looks so rusty. And I kind of feel like, is this the game to give him a start, get 60 minutes in his legs, and he's, can play that 9 role really well. Darwin, for me, is on the bench because he's out of form. He wasn't great when he came on. To be fair, I think only Bradley was, of any of the subs, did anything, to be fair to him. So that's the front three I would go with. Would you guys do anything different?
I think Gakpo and Mo Salah are nailed on. I think Gakpo is our standout in this competition. I think Mo Salah is Mo Salah. I don't know where Jota is fitness-wise. I want him to get to full fitness, but I have no idea if Jota can play a full 90 or even a full 60 at this point. I don't know. What's the most that he's played recently? Like 15 minutes? Has he gotten 30 minutes yet? I don't know if he has.
I don't think he's done more than. I don't think he's got. If he has, he's done no more than 30.
And rib injuries are tricky because you're dealing with, the breathing and the diaphragm and all of that stuff. So I just don't know where he is. I think that's the one position that's up in the air. I think someone like Nunes would absolutely have a field day against Accrington Stanley. I think, playing against, it might be good for him. It might be good to get his confidence up to play against, a group of players where he clearly has the ability to score, without being, derogatory toward their abilities or anything like that. I think it might be good for him to get some time on the pitch and get 90 minutes. So I know he can do that. John is an interesting call. I do not know for that. I think, it's a long time between games for Diaz not to play. So maybe it's like a 50-50 thing where they split 45.
Yeah, possibly. I just thought he looked, of all the fronts, I thought he looked really off it. And it just didn't work. It didn't work in that 9 role. I suppose the reason the other two I've selected is because Salah Salah always scores. And Gakpo is probably our most inform attacker.
Yeah.
So
I think
he's there in merit.
Where does Chiesa come in, if at all? I don't think he starts this game. But I think that if he doesn't start in the FA Cup, there's a big problem there. Because that should surely be his game to start.
You'd have thought so.
Yeah,
so
the weekend.
So I was asking if Nunes suspended. No, he's not suspended for this. He's suspended for Forest.
Yeah, so he's not playing versus Forest. So there's the opportunity to really play him quite heavily these 2 games.
Yeah. I think he probably gets 25-30 against Spurs, and I think he gets the full 90 against Accrington.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a bit surprised tomorrow night if he starts with Gakpo, Diaz, and Salah up front, and then looks to change it on the hour if the game dictates it to, because there's every chance. You see what Newcastle did tonight with Arsenal, 2-0 away from home is, you really got to go some to lose it from there.
I think they said it's only happened twice in League Cups.
Yeah,
the team that's lost the first leg has gone through.
Yeah, so, and the other chance is there's every chance that in a month's time, Spurs will be stronger because they'll have players back from injury. And why Bob? I mean, these players are used to playing a game every 3 days. There's no reason why you can't go same again with the front three. Same again with the midfield. Make your changes that you need to at the back, because Robbo definitely has played an awful lot of football recently.
And Kanatu's just back from injury, so that makes sense to give him
exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's just those 2 changes.
Normally.
And Slot just says, wipe the slate clean. Go fix what we didn't do on the weekend, and
go and get this tie won. Just go and do what you did, because Spurs, as good as I think their front 3 is and their midfield 3 is, that centre back pairing, I think Luis Diaz could do what he normally does against. I think the problem with Diaz playing against a back 3 of 3 centre backs of Manchester United had at the weekend is they're not going to come out and allow themselves to be pulled about. Whereas those two, especially as one of them is a centre mid, playing at centre back, he's learning. And you see it in him with some of the times where his body position is not quite right and he gets caught out. And sometimes he goes chasing the ball when it's not there to be chased. And Dragusin is trying to cover him. So I think Luis Diaz dropping into space can pull their midfield about a bit and also can pull their two centre-backs around a bit. They're
also inexperienced. I think especially with the young kid with Gray. You have players that are not, tried and trusted in centre-back positions. Yeah. And you saw that we could exploit that in the last game versus them. And I think that worked really well. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all.
As night follows day, look, Spurs will give you chances. They just will. It's just in the way they play, because of the type of attacking football and man-for-man defending that they do, they will give up chances. And if you take enough of them, you'll be fine. But you cannot take liberties with the likes of Heung-min Son. Dominic Solanke is in great form. Brendan Johnson has pace to burn. Kulusevski can pick passes and attack you. And Bentancur is a World Cup winner, same as McAllister.
It's a 90-minute game tomorrow. There's no tuning off at 60 minutes if we're 3-0 up. It's not going to happen. No. I would love it to happen, but it's not. And that's why I think when a lot of people are like, "Oh, Chiesa comes on tomorrow," I don't know if he does.
I don't think
unless we're really cruising, which I don't think is likely in this particular game. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him.
Yeah, I mean that's actually Oh, Pete, the apparently third round replays are gone. But I don't know if it goes to 90 minutes and then penalties or extra time. I'm not sure.
Okay. Cool.
But this is actually an interesting one before you move on. Tonight.
Are we talking for tomorrow night or for the weekend?
No. Just in general. Tonight, Arsenal registered 3.09 XG against Newcastle. So they weren't actually out of it. It's just the difference between the two sides. They don't have a striker. You know what I mean? It's just...
Newcastle's last-ditch defending was excellent. Some of the blocks from Botman and Dan Burns.
Beg your pardon, O'Sheen, you're right. Bentancur is Uruguayan, Argentinian, but you get where I'm coming from. They did. You get where I am. He's a proven winner, and he's a proper centre mid.
Yeah, he's excellent.
Yeah, he's a proper centre mid, so.
Yeah. Go on, Kev. Score prediction for the first leg. You know the rules. Pick your goal scorers.
3-1. Diaz 2, Gakpo 1.
Okay. Ashley?
I think it'll be a little closer. I think we still win. I think we score 3. I think they score 2. I think it's just going to be a ding-dong game, especially with some of the changes in our defense. I think we might not be as solid. I think Salah scores 1. I think Gakpo scores 1. And I think if Diaz starts, I think he scores. For them, I don't care.
Okay. I will go 3-1. Kulusevski for them because he always scores. And I'll go for what I predicted at the Man United game. Salah, Van Dijk, Trent.
I mean, I would love us to score from a corner because we haven't done
it for ages.
Yeah. I would love us to score from a corner.
Well, that was the frustration for the Man United game. Is they are so bad at corners, and we only
tried that Olympico one time.
Honestly,
it was so good.
Yeah, Richard's got Liverpool 3, Spurs 2.
Okay,
but he's not put his goal scorers. O'Sheen's put 4-1, Salah, Gakpo, and 2 from Gakpo 2, sorry, and 1 from Van Dijk, the header. Gerard's put 4-3. Fucking hell, not sure I could take that.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest.
Megan's got 3-1. Diaz, Jones, and Mo. Our new member has got 4-0. Paul Giovanni's gives us a score prediction, but he's not given us his goal scorers, so he doesn't count. Sarah C's got 2-1. Salah and Gakpo. Hotline's got 5-2. Salah got 2. Jones got 2, and Joss got 1. I mean, to be honest, 5-2 could be. It wouldn't surprise you.
No, nothing.
This is not going to be. This game could either be. It's not going to be 0-0. This game could be 5-3 either way, or it could be 3-3. You know, it just has the feel of a game with a lot of goals in it, because
I guess
that's how they play.
Is that it's just one half of the tie, and I guess I say it's a good thing. I don't actually know if it's a good thing, because you think that in 90 minutes Spurs aren't dead, and then in twice that amount of time they're not dead. So getting points on the board and getting as many goals as possible, I think, is actually very important tomorrow. So I'd go very strong. We have the ability to do so, and we have the ability to rest this week. I think it's important to really put that goal tally up there.
I think we have to manage the first 25 minutes, because if you're Spurs, you want to go out this first leg with a lead, knowing for the second leg you will have Maddison and Sarr back, so you'll be even stronger
but
again.
They have to come to Anfield, which is its own issue.
Yeah. I don't think they try to complicate things like that. I think they'll play tomorrow night and try to score as many as possible. If we concede a few, so what? And they'll do the same in the next game, and the same in the next game, and the same, because it's just what he does. That's his whole mantra. Just try to score as many goals as possible, and that'll be enough. And good luck good luck to him. It's just strange to me.
Yeah. Well, it's 15 minutes to go. It's January, so should we do the conversation we all have to do, which is transfers and contracts. So the latest contract update, I think Ashley had to deal with this last night with Gav, which was Mo Salah replying to Jamie Carragher. Jamie Carragher replied to him. I can't be arsed of it, to be honest. It's a bit boring. Kev, normally for me, when Salah does stuff like that, normally something's close to being announced, because that's normally why he doesn't get involved in it. And also, again, Salah, the cryptic tweet, me and my two mates, I'm 41, I'm a bit bored of it. But we are where we are.
It's unnecessary. If you want to, if you're Mo Salah and you're putting out tweets after a 2-2 draw with Manchester United at home of a picture of you and your two mates who are leaving in the summer, and you think it's somehow funny, it ain't. It ain't funny, mate. And do your job, do your day job, get that done right, and talk about whatever later in the season when you've actually won something. Because as it stands at the minute, you've had a great season. You've won nothing. This is where we are. We're there to be shot at. And if we don't do our jobs properly, we will get caught. And we'll get our pants taken down, and we'll look like idiots, because we'll have blown a huge lead if we can't do what we need to do. So I don't appreciate it. I don't find it funny. I see people laughing and joking. Oh, he's replied to Carragher. Isn't it great? Yeah.
You just started the new cycle again.
Grow up. Do you know what I mean? You've literally just created a whole new weeks-long rant and bullshit when it just didn't fucking need it. Let your agent do his job. You're either going to stay or you're not. If you're not, shut up until we've won something and then announce it. If you're going, then if you want a long drawn out process, say you're going. One way or another. Just I'm sorry. I 52. I'm not here for that. I'll be here when they're gone. Whether that's in 2 years, 3 years, 6 months. And I agree with everything that Carragher said a while back when he said we've seen players like Salah, as good as he is, and he is absolutely one of the best we've ever had. They've come, they've gone, and we're still here, and we're still fighting for titles. It's like we just move on. You have to. It's like when you guys were talking about Ben Doak and stuff like that, with will he stay, will he go, will the club accept an offer, will they not? The club will do what's best for the club. The club will look at the accounts and say, can we reinvest this money elsewhere and make us better in the long run, or is it better to keep him? The club will make the best decision for the club. And what I have to say or anyone else has to say about it is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. And it's the same, comes down to stuff with contracts and stuff like that, with players who we're going to sign, who we're not going to sign. We all have opinions about who we should sign and who we shouldn't sign, who fits, who doesn't. ultimately Hughes and Edwards were the ones who put Slot in the position that he's in. I'm fucking happy with him. So do that now with players, and I'll be happy with that too. You know, they'll live and die by the decisions they make. That's what the club brought them in to do, to make decisions. And hopefully they make the right ones. But we have no influence on that either way. So just enjoy the ride for what is there. You know?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, Ash, Dan Bailey's put a message here, says, has anyone seen the Ornstein piece regarding us asking an unnamed club how much it'll cost to get their number 10 in January? I've not seen the Ornstein piece.
Anything from Ornstein on that?
No, I haven't. If you can throw in some details in the chat, that would actually be really helpful.
Yeah. So fair enough. Other than that, there's no real link.
There's a lot of noise.
One thing I do want to say on the contract deals, while we're talking about this Salah stuff, you know, I think that it's important to recognize that there are, as adults, we can look at these tweets and we can say, oh, that's funny. You know, there's banter between him and Carragher and whatever. And that's one thing. But it's another thing when you have little children and you know there are kids that are looking at Twitter, and you know that there are people that are maybe unhealthily invested in what's going on at the club that are going to look at these tweets from whether it's Salah or from some of these other players, and it will directly affect their mental health. And that bothers me, in the sense that I understand that players feel like they can use that as a bargaining chip, but I don't like the fact that there are actual people on the other side of these tweets that are reading them and that will be mentally affected by them. And I think especially with children, you know, these are their heroes, these are their idols. They're looking at these people, you know, really following every single move and waiting to see if they're going to sign a contract or whatever. And I think this idea of playing with people's feelings is a little bit out of touch with reality. And maybe that comes with them being global superstars and not kind of being at the level that we are at. But I do think it's important to remember that there are little kids that, you know, they see that and it means something to them. And it's not just a game, you know, so it's just a little bit annoying for me. And I know it's one of those things, don't take it too seriously, but, you know, I think it's something to consider. So I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Yeah, also we've all been through that. I think my last one was Torres. I think that was the last one where I was proper like, oh.
You know what it feels like to have your heart pulled.
Everyone always gets one player. Kev will have Billy Little or something because he's that old. But everyone has that one player that after that player left, you're like, oh, right, it doesn't matter as much now. Mine was probably Torres. Torres was probably the last one where it was really like, fucking hell, the world's ended here. You know, Tony in the chat's about Keegan. You know, that was a.
I wouldn't be going that far back. But I mean, look. We know this game, how this game is played. For me, do you know what? I think the one that made me the angriest was Coutinho, actually.
I agree with that.
You know,
the way that he left, just
him and Suarez, and I understand why both of them decided to go. Completely get it, totally get it. And the fact that Coutinho, the money that we got from Coutinho allowed us to reinvest and rebuild to a state where we are today. We're benefiting still from it. You know, that's the flip side of it. The Suarez one was the missed opportunity, how badly you can reinvest money into, you know, from a transfer. But there's also only a handful of players.
Also with Suarez, if he hadn't bitten another person. I mean, the fact you have to say that phrase, it's actually bit another person. That's the third bite you've done for. The talk was.
Have to say.
I know the talk was. It was Real Madrid and Barcelona, which is probably which would have been a good bun fight for the money. Yeah. And basically, Real Madrid went, don't need that.
Yeah. No, look. I mean, I'm just having a quick look at some of the other gossip that's going around actually as well, because there is some interesting stuff. Dortmund considering Marcus Rashford, which I highly doubt that would end up with anything, because they'd love to take him on loan, but there's no point in Rashford going on loan unless they can get him off the books. By all accounts, Chelsea are front runners to sign Kobe Mainoo. Manchester United have made it known.
I mean, they pick people off left, right, and center. So
apparently they've made it known.
I think Sancho was a good move for them. So if they
Yep.
could repeat that trick, I could see it working.
I'm sure
Yeah,
that must be a PSR thing for Man United because it's pure. It'd be pure profit, wouldn't it? If you saw.
It's
I
not
can't
going to
imagine
make
their fans would be happy with that.
No, I'm not saying they'd be happy with it.
it's not going to make a blind bit of difference to PSR to get Marcus Rashford on loan unless
No,
you can get him with
No.
Mainu, sorry.
the other one is
Garnacho.
Both
Garnacho.
homegrown, aren't they?
Yeah.
Garnacho. Apparently, Mainu's not happy. The contract is stalled.
Well,
Both
isn't
of them.
Ahmad also out of contract? I'm
Yeah.
I
pretty
think he's
sure
got
out
a
of
one.
contract.
I think I read somewhere they've got a 1 year option to activate.
They'll trigger that, but
They've
they're at
got
a
to sell
stage
him
at the minute.
to get
They
more money.
have to sell. Look, I don't know if I haven't watched it, and I'm going to go and watch it. But apparently, the guy from he's a finance expert in football. He was on the overlap.
Yeah.
And he alluded to the fact that there is a big club in real PSR trouble. Real trouble.
He actually, I haven't got to that part of the show yet, but he did say of all the clubs in the Premier League, what he won is in profit, which is West Ham, and he said, and they're in profit. He said
because of Declan Rice.
No, he said it's not even Declan Rice. Said it's because of the government funding they get for the stadium, which is what we pay for. He said every other club, he said, operates at some sort of a loss. He said that's how football is at the moment. So but he said, but with this, and he talked about the 70% thing, said that is going to tighten belts. Then they were talking around, ticket price, why ticket price is so high, and and talk about the American model, saying that's kind of how they do it in America. It's through ticket price for American sports. And as someone rightly pointed out, now I think we're up to now with the Everton takeover 14 American owners. If they all like that style of play, that's enough to do it a majority to change things if they want to.
Yeah.
How much is like a standard ticket at Anfield at this point in time, just out of curiosity?
Champions League. Well, for my brother, who's a season ticket holder, I think Champions League's 55 in the lower Kenny, about 50 quid. I think in the main stand it's around 60 quid. So the range cheap. I think the range
in comparison to American sports, that's amazing.
American sports like hundreds of pounds, aren't they?
Well, if you were going to the Boston Gardens to watch Celtic, I don't know, it's not even the Boston Gardens anymore. But if you were going to watch the Celtics against Lakers, even in a league game, a regular season game,
you're easily talking minimum like $150 minimum for like the cheap nosebleed top of the stadium, barely can see the
and if you were going to watch the Red Sox,
I mean, it depends. I'd say probably $80 to $100 would be the cheapest that you could possibly get, and that's like with no view.
Yeah. I mean, jokes aside, I saw an article about the wrestling, the WrestleMania, and if you wanted front row seats for that, $5,000.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if I want to go to Anfield for like, a regular game, it's very difficult for me because I don't have a history built up of games for me to get tickets. And so if I want to go through hospitality, it's about $2,000 for a ticket.
Yeah.
Is pretty unattainable.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about $2,000 for a ticket, and then you're talking about an additional maybe $2,000 round trip to get there and back from Boston. I mean, that it's absurd.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of talk going around about certain players. It looks like Murillo's going to extend his contract with Nottingham Forest.
Fantastic signing for them.
I think he's a great signing for the way they play.
Yeah.
I think if you put Murillo in the Brazil side, he'd get torn to shreds. If you put him in our 11, I think he'd get torn apart. But
I think we were linked with him at some point for $15 million.
But I think in the way the Forest sit off and have the game in front of them and love to play on the counter, he's very much Wes Morgan type. Wes Morgan at Leicester, do you remember when they won the league? He was outstanding. That's the kind of centre back I see him as. I think he's a decent footballer. I think he's a good defender, but he's a good defender when the ball is in front of him, and that's when he's great. And
I'm wondering with the Cunha extension, if that's like a kind of like a McAllister extension where there's some sort of release clause.
There's definitely
There's
definitely got to be a relegation clause at least in there. I would say.
I'm sure there is, but I would go as far as to think that there's probably a way for him to get out because I expect him to leave Wolves.
To us, like Grealish did to Villa as well. He signed an extension and made it known what his release clause was, so that he knew they got a certain amount of money. So
yeah, well, here's the thing, right? He's got 2.5 years left in his deal now. Yeah, something like that. I mean, there's no reason why for him. There's no reason to extend if he wants to leave. If he wants to leave in the summer, he can kick up a stink and make sure he leaves in the summer. You know, if that's the way he wants. There's no need for him to sign an extension unless it's to put an exit clause for a Champions League club in his contract that he can talk to along the lines of McAllister. And if his agent is clever, which I assume he is, because he's got him this far, then that's what they should be doing. Because he is a very, very good player. Apparently, Manchester United want to sign Kirkes. I'm sure they do.
And Bournemouth signed Kirkes' replacement, which
I saw that as well. But they signed him for what? 2 pints of milk and a loaf of bread. You know,
Bournemouth's way though, they find the hidden gems.
They find the hidden gems. He's 19 years of age, so maybe they're looking at him and say, "Okay, we'll see what you like for 6 months."
Yeah, blood him in for 6 months and then do him in the summer.
If you're good enough, then we might consider selling Kirkes type of thing. If not, then they might have some. But yeah, I think it's it's smart bit of. Southampton apparently are expecting a low cut bid for Kyle Walker-Peters in this window. So
I'm really surprised that he is where he's at. Like I kind of expected a higher ceiling from him when he first had his breakout.
When he was at Spurs.
Both sides too.
I thought the same with the lad who's at Ipswich, the right back Ben Johnson, when he's at West Ham. When he broke at West Ham, he thought this looks a player,
a real good player. Yeah,
I thought he'd have kicked on a bit higher than he has done, but it's just sometimes the way it goes in football, isn't it? People don't always turn out the way you expect. But yeah, I thought he looked like when he broke through a real prospect.
Yeah, I think the other one apparently Dortmund.
Have he actually gotten sacked yet, or is that just still
not yet? Apparently,
he's still in
he's hanging on. He's hanging on.
Okay.
Well, he took training today, but apparently Potter has had extended
that must be
conversations.
So incredibly awkward.
Again today, but by all accounts, it's to stave off interest from Everton.
For Potter?
Yeah, for Potter. Yeah, the new Everton ownership apparently made it known that they want to bring Potter in. And, let Potter start to rebuild in the summer.
There was a lot of talk to Dyson saying, "Are you worried about your position?" And, sort of straight battered it pretty well, but there's no smoke without fire when they start asking those sort of questions.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, do you see the Everton stats since last season? They've had 26 goals from open play, which is wild. I think we were top with 103 or something like that. I think Arsenal was second, but it was like that's unreal. That 26 goals from open play.
The only other bit of gossip concerns Arsenal. Apparently, they're interested in signing Nico Williams from Athletic Bilbao, but will be unable to move for the Spaniard because of financial constraints.
I don't know if they need another winger, though, do they?
No,
it's just Arteta, doesn't it? It's the way he. It's the way he tends to build a squad.
But it's not what they need.
No. And in fairness, he's not exactly setting the world alight this season. Apparently, he's not having the best of seasons. So I think Bilbao, that could be a little bit of Bilbao saying, look, we think that you might have hit your max peak transfer potential with us in the summer, and now we regret not flogging you on.
I think because they realise also Barca are going to struggle to buy him with all their leaders that they keep doing.
I think they also put they put him on really high wages.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of these Nico Williams with Bilbao is one of these players because of Inaki Williams and the fact that he's come through the club and he's a local lad for them. It's like he's the prize asset. So they know that he's the goose that's going to lay the golden egg, but there's only so many clubs that can afford a player of his caliber when he becomes available. And I think when the financials come out, in a week's time, there's not going to be many clubs out there that are going to be able to afford to go big at all.
Apart from City will have a commercial deal that gives them an extra 300 million that nobody knows about.
The thing is with Man City, you got to look at is they've sold a lot in the last 2 years.
A lot of the youth products.
Yeah, a lot of the profit, a lot of profitable sales.
I think they're just doing their best to stay as under the radar money-wise as possible since, the 130 got revealed. But I mean, I was looking at some of the...
That's a blast from the past, though. Waiting for Danny Pacheco to make it. God, do you remember Danny Pacheco? We all thought he was going to be brilliant.
Do you know what? There's certain players you look at when they leave and you think, I really, really hope they do well in their career somewhere.
I was like that with Suso.
Yeah.
I think he's had a good... he's had
a really good career.
Yeah.
He's had a really good career.
He's won a couple of Europa Leagues as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done all right. But there's a few players that leave and I look at it and I think, do you know what I mean? Harry Wilson was one of them. Harry Wilson was one of them for me because I loved it when he scored at Old Trafford and he goes like that. And I was like,
the big thing he's done better with is his work rate off the balls really improved. That was his big downfall. I think that's the reason he never got too much of a chance.
Billy Connectio.
Harry Wilson has done what you want your academy graduates to do, though. Like you want them to do well. Like I'm not mad that he's doing well. Yeah, like I'm not mad at it. I think that
I think
he's
that's
been fantastic off the bench.
Yeah, I think that's what scuppered Edwards' first time, which not many people talk about, is near the end of the last couple of years of Edwards, we weren't very good at selling, and maybe part of that was he was trying to get these big deals for the youth players, but a lot of the youth players he'd sold for big money didn't work out. I mean, the best one's Brad Smith. Never played for. He was sold for $6 million. I don't think he ever played for Bournemouth.
No, Brad Smith was one, and the other one was
Jordan Ibe didn't work out. Brewster.
Jordan didn't work out for different reasons with Ryan Brewster.
Ryan Brewster was.
That looked like
bad for him because I know it was an injury thing that really curtailed his career.
The thing is,
I do think his ceiling was quite high.
I remember Ryan Brewster winning the under-17 World Cup with England.
Yeah, he was.
He was the top scorer, I believe.
But Phil Foden was a player of the tournament, and it's like you look at the two of them and you're thinking, they should be on parallels as to where their careers are because of that tournament. You're looking at it and you're thinking, they were really, really, really good. And it's like you look at where Foden is now, and you look at Ryan Brewster. It's like,
Bobby Duncan. God. I don't think he's even played really well.
I think he's got like a lesson for all young players.
Yeah,
make sure you got the right agents because that agent ruined
very
him.
Much so.
That's definitely only been quite badly advised. Didn't work at Watford, went to Fiorentina. For that did him any good. I don't think he even plays football anymore now. Which is quite sad. Quite sad, really. The one's Andre Wisdom.
He can go join Naby Keita and.
I also thought Andre Wisdom was a decent defender. I thought he's one of those guys who thought he'd be ideal centre back. He's just probably a little bit too small.
I think he's playing in the League of Ireland now.
Yeah, he is now. Yeah, he had a long career at Derby, didn't he? Did quite well at Derby. I think he was captain for a while as well.
Ryan Kent did really well at Rangers. And as far as I know, he's in Turkey now. Yeah, he's in Turkey.
Yeah, yeah. So we should do a show about this. Should we have random kids that we thought would be good and didn't quite make it?
On a tangent here.
Yeah, we're gonna nip off now because this is a rabbit hole.
This is a whole show in and of itself.
It's a whole show, and I'm gonna
get. What you signed up for today.
So listen, so us three will definitely be back tomorrow. Maybe Matt.
Maybe Matt.
Maybe Matt. It depends if he can be bothered. You know what he's like. He's more of a diva than Kev. We'll do our post-match reaction. I'm not sure if Gav is doing a morning show, so hit the bell icon, like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and you'll hear what's coming through. But yeah, we'll definitely be back when hopefully we'll talk about a win for Liverpool in the first round of the League Cup semi final. Until then, take care. Speak to you later.